Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. This Wednesday, April 30th, 2025 to council time. We'll start with the council roll call.
Councilor Young?
Here, and just for the record, I will only be here until 1:30, at which time I'll be leaving to join our Accessible Community Advisory Committee with at an event.
Councilor Belcott? Present. Councilor Fuentes?
Here.
Councilor Little?
Here.
And Chair Marshall?
Here. Are there any amendments to the agenda?
Yes, to remove item 9.1 under executive session. So there will be no executive session today.
Okay, that sounds good. That moves us right on to public comment on agenda items only. And there's a limit of 3 minutes for your comments. So I see we're retrieving the sign-up sheet.
Wynn Gersich?
Hi, my name is Wynn Gersich, and I came here today to talk about your proclamation for Pride Month. First of all, Judicial Watch sued San Francisco to shut down the woke racism program. And you need to read it because last night, if you didn't see Trump's 100 days in office, there's no more diversity, equity, inclusion. There's only 2 sexes. This is federal law. And if you do this, and have this equity thing, I'm sure that Washington State has some kind of equity act like San Francisco because the 3 states on the coast are all communist. Anyway, the main thing is that you don't have the right to do this because you can be sued. And this is really amazing to listen to it because it also talks about when you take people that have people of color and then people of LGBTQ to be on boards and things, that's racism. And that's why they got shut down. So you can't make any more. If we're all equal, we're all equal. And that's what he's trying to pull. So this is very important. Plus the fact, I was at that I want to talk about clean water, but I'll talk about something else later about the same thing. The Clean Water Commission, I want to tell you this. The UN in 2005 decided to put chloramine in the drinking water to recycle it. So I'm going to sing you a song about clean water. It says, we all breathe the same air and we drink the same water. Don't be sheep being led to the slaughter. We pay enough taxes, we deserve clean water. So don't be had because chloramine's bad. Golly yipes, it'll rot your pipes. There's no in between. Ban chloramine. Chloramine-ish, it'll kill your fish. Reverse osmosis, ozonization, ultraviolet lights, and microfiltration. Having no chemicals is the answer. Clean up our water so we don't get cancer. Now make a scene, ban chloramine. Well, that's going to be amazing too, that you're going to have to start seeing that. But this clean water right now is that they're trying to get water from every place they can. And under the UN, which I put, it's Sustainability Chapter 17, and it's by Tom DeWeese, and they talk about all the things that you're building, you have to get other water. Right now, they're shutting down 3,000 farmers here and making them tell their legislators why they have the right to their wells, because you're taking the well water from the farmers. Right now, we're having all kinds of shutdowns because there's no boats coming in bringing food. You're shutting down the farmers, 3,000 of them, and they're supposed to tell everybody why they have rights to their water because you're going to take it for all this redevelopment. Well, you know something? And one thing too is when you use groundwater, that is the most toxic water you can use, because I met a city council person in California and he was saying that he got it shut down in his city in San Lorenzo. It's poison.
Okay, thank you. Your time is up.
Carmen De Leon?
Hello, my name is Carmen De Leon. I go by Mel, and I'm correcting myself from the minutes of the 23rd. Within the first 6 minutes, I said 1 million when I actually meant 2 billion. absent-minded me. And as you know, we were at the C-Tran Board of Directors and certain people weren't there for the all-day event. I guess when it's important, you're there for the all-day C-Tran event and certain parties were absent. So we see the dedication there or lack thereof. And it's 2 billion that the city, or not the city, the county of Clark has voted out C-Tran, and that's what I'm correcting on the 23rd. Also on the 23rd, and apparently today, there seems to be litigation that's been put off. And I'm wondering if this litigation is just a joke to you guys because it does cost the people money when it can be fixed free. So, I mean, if you guys want to take into the consideration the handful of people in support of light rail, and by the way, if it has to do with your job, the reason you're here is called racketeering, because you're supposed to be here for the people, not for your own employment. And earlier today, a certain person said, I'm here because of my job. And that sounds to me like you're making job security for yourself and screw the population, huh? It's your own self-interest. That's what's important, because to me, that's selfishness, and shame on you. And you know who you are. Anyways, so they said that there was a month for the elderly also, and I'm pretty disappointed at the disrespect towards the elderly at the city of Vancouver, and I know you want to wash your hands of it, but when you're participating with that people, I need to tell you that, yeah, we're supposed to respect the elderly. People who have more age, have lived longer, have more experience, and are the only reason you have certain benefits are because of the generations before you, and there should be a certain amount of respect. And there was a certain amount, I mean, a total lack of respect for the elderly over there. So, yeah, it's disappointing to see that the city of Vancouver is trying to annex all the rest of Clark County, and all the rest of Clark County seems to be just bending over for the city of Vancouver, and that's just sick. You know, and I do want to say that thank you to her, because the president did say there are two sexes. And again, the defiance of the city of Vancouver in your face to the president, we're not going to listen, but we got to listen to them. Do as I say and not as I do, huh? That's real hypocritical. And I'm so disappointed and embarrassed and ashamed that certain people are listening to the city of Vancouver when they should be in prison for racketeering. And you will be discovered.
Thank you. Your time's up. Is there anyone
Teresa
else?
Hardy.
Teresa Hardy, and I'm speaking about last week's minutes. On the 15th, Councilor Little, Young, and Belcott voted to keep open the possibility of de-designating hundreds of acres of ag land to development, creating more sprawl, and thwarting compliance with the state law by ensuring the county does not meet the comp plan deadline in order to help Ridgefield and La Center ignore their multifamily housing requirements while expanding their UGAs. These actions by Little and Young were not what they promised when we elected them. In fact, in Matt Little's campaign platform, it says, Matt has a plan to maintain Clark County's rural character and local agriculture while growing our urban areas to include more walkable communities with affordable housing. Once we lose a farm to development, it's gone forever. Employers want to locate where their employers will be happy, have walkable, thriving neighborhoods with affordable housing, and enjoy their community and surrounding rural areas. We can maintain the rural character of Clark County that we all love. One of the most important things a county councilor does is determine whether the urban growth boundaries, where they are located. Over time, they have expanded until practically all our cities are bordering each other while our rural areas are disappearing. Matt Little's own words. Glenn Young's campaign platform, sprawl and weak enforcement protections can strain our natural resources to a breaking point. State and federal protections are extended to many of our natural resources. Full adherence to the laws already on the books will ensure our natural resources are protected. Glenn Young's statement, platform running. Counselors, your own staff information shows all growth can be accommodated with existing UGAs. Now the legislature has denied that extension. Are you really going to follow through, Matt Little and Glenn Young, with your campaign promises? How much will all of this cost? Between $300,000 for the ag study, $500,000 per 6 months of extending the comp plan work, $1.2 million in grants, climate grants we need to apply for, the cost of possible litigation when our own county lawyer, the county manager, and the community planning director have told you that we could possibly be sued over this. Furthermore, this action will delay the passing and implementation of the critical climate work that we urgently need to get started. How much time are we willing to lose? 6 months, a year? How much time are you willing to lose in mitigation? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone online?
Caller, you've been sent a request to unmute. Please state your name for the record and go ahead with your comment.
Good afternoon, Kimberly Goheen Elbin. So my first comment is that there is no star 3 on this agenda today for those that don't know to raise their hand. Otherwise, they might be just sitting. So I'm going to cover that. And if there's anybody on the phone that did not raise their hand, they're to push star 3. And I'll ask Kathleen Otto to make sure that that's done on every agenda. So I will be speaking on the minutes. There's a lot of minutes that my whole speech is going to be about. So you're allowing overpopulation, pollution. We don't want to have any more GMA sprawl. My point will be this. I have yet in these years that I've been asking citizens to participate in our grassroots government here of why there is a climate act and why you choose to follow it. There has not been any transparency at the bottom line reason you want to control the will and freedoms of the people. This climate act is unconstitutional, stop the growth, and the love of money. That's what this is. This agenda affects our children, our water, our air, and our form of government. Which brings me to Trump. I'm not going to mention that right now. It is your duty to inform the people of what you know about, and I quote past Chair Medvedev, there will be a next pandemic. He used the word pandemic. I use the word plandemic because that's what it's going to be. You are also the Clark County Board of Health, and you know the people of Clark County and around the world are still in shock this last 4 years, still trying to figure out what has happened to their children, their most precious possessions, and keeping food on the table while this local government in our towns and cities that you've tied into tax. You're taxing the taxpayer to death. As a life citizen of Clark County, Washington, I'm telling this Board of Health and the Clark County Council to do a county-wide survey of everybody that can vote and pay taxes and have a questionnaire. And I want it designed by a group of patriots. Under legislation, farmers are being required to show how they use their water. There's over 40,000 farmers that are being affected with the government wanting to take over our water rights. That's got to stop. We've got local DZ farms and other things that we can help support. That's what I'm asking. We need to get citizens to be involved in our local grassroots government. This government is for, by, and of the people, and we have to stand up now. Washington State has been under Democratic rule for over 16 years, and we are in a huge deficit state and here locally too. And we can't even take care of our own deficits, but you're taxing the hell out of our citizens to keep up with all this stuff. So this is good.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else online? Okay, moving on to old business 4.1, approval of the minutes of April 23rd, 2025. Are there any corrections or changes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I'll second. Okay, thank you. So moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, motion carries. On to new business. 5.1 lobbying contract transfer. Jordan, I believe that's you.
It is. Good afternoon, Council. For the record, Jordan Vogie, Senior Policy Analyst. You're going to be seeing a fair amount of me today on our agenda. The first item is the lobbying contract transfer. So as I know you are aware, our current lobbyist is Josh Weiss. He works for a firm called Gordon Thomas Honeywell in their Government Affairs Division. He is transferring out from Gordon Thomas Honeywell to start his own lobbying firm, and has requested a contract transfer, essentially. And Gordon Thomas Honeywell has granted the contract transfer. And so what that means for us is that we would continue to use Josh for our lobbying services in Olympia to support the county's interests and priorities during the legislative session, and work with legislators in the interim, but under the auspices of this new firm, rather than Gordon Thomas Honeywell. And so basically the request that will be coming forward to council next Tuesday is that contract transfer. And then as part of the contract transfer, it would be a year-long extension, which is something that's contemplated under the current contract that the county has. By mutual assent of both parties to the contract, you can extend the contract by a year term. I am recommending this to council because I work pretty closely with Josh in my role, and I have always found him to be extremely responsive to any kind of questions or needs that the county has. And then with the year extension that is on this request, in my opinion, it's a good idea because it essentially gives the county a year under the new firm to go through the whole legislative session in 2026, and then kind of see how the county feels about continuing on an ongoing basis. And so I just would want to mention that to council, give you an opportunity to kind of talk through here in a little bit less formal setting and answer any questions that you might have. Otherwise, this will come before council next Tuesday.
Great, thank you for that report. Are there any comments, questions, concerns at this time from council?
Chair.
Yes.
Just a comment. In my experience working with Josh, it's been very positive the last few months. So I know we're not making that decision today, but I certainly do support him staying along for the ride for the next year.
Thank you for that. Other comments? Okay. How many years has Josh been representing us?
That
Since I've been here.
Yeah,
I think
I think we signed the initial contract with Gordon Thomas Honeywell in 2018 or 2019. It was before my time, but if Josh has been our main person since then, it's been 6 or 7 years.
Yep, I think as long as anyone here can remember, so that's good. I would agree. This seems like a reasonable direction for us to go. Okay. And this will come back to us for our decision on Tuesday, I guess. And then moving on to 5.2, Youth Commission meeting invitation.
Yes, me again, council. So the Clark County Youth Commission has invited the county council to an upcoming meeting. They're having a presentation on their community recommendations for the year. It's around healing, mental health, and intergenerational connection. The meeting is happening Thursday, May 15th from 6:45 to 8:45 p.m. And I know that Councilor Young and Chair Medvedji last year both attended, and it sounded like it was a really positive experience. But just wanted to extend that invitation to council if folks are able to attend, and give you a heads up so that if you'd like to attend, we can get that scheduled for you. And then also, if we end up having 3 counselors, we can make sure that that is noticed. But I know that the Youth Commission does a lot of great work, and so wanted to make sure that I extended that invitation to council on their behalf.
Great, thank you. I was planning to attend. Are there other counselors that would like to attend?
Jordan, what's the date again?
It is Thursday, May 15th.
Okay, I may be able to attend. I'll have to double check my calendar, but it sounds something I'd be interested in going to.
I do plan to attend. It is well worth the time. It's fun to see the kids engaged.
It's okay. So,
Okay,
we
ahead.
just need to, we'll take the information now, but it sounds like the invitation may be limited to just the chair plus one, but we'll confirm.
Okay, well, we'll get that information. If there are 3 or more counselors who attend, that would be noticed for the public to be aware of that. Okay. Thank you. And on to 5.3 Proclamation Pride Month.
Yes, counselors. So June is coming up, and June is Pride Month, and traditionally the council has issued a Pride Month proclamation, and so I have a draft here for reading at the June 3rd council meeting. So if council is supportive, just would be looking to see if we have a thumbs up for that, and then also, if so, who might be interested in reading the proclamation at that event.
Okay, first off, thumbs up. I think 2 on the dais, 3, 4.
My thumb is up.
Okay, unanimous. And who would like to read this one?
Well, if nobody else is up for it, I would be honored to.
That would be great. Thank you for volunteering. I wasn't that I think anybody else wasn't up for it, but thanks for volunteering. Okay.
Time to ask.
Yeah. Okay, on to item 6, counselor reports. Any reports from counselors? Okay, we're going to be moving right along to work session request, Clean Water Commission 2024 Annual Report and 2025 Work Plan. Is there someone who's going to?
Yeah, if this is just a work session request that has been done the last couple of years with Public Works Clean Water Division and the Clean Water Commission. It does say recommended action is to accept the 2024 annual report and work plan. I would just say it's to hear it and provide feedback because you don't take any action during work sessions.
Great. I've appreciated their updates in the past. I think it's good to hear from our commissions. Any other thoughts? Is there thumbs up all around? Looks like there are. Okay. Now, moving on then to item 8, policy updates. So 8.1 legislative updates. Jordan.
Afternoon, council. Back here again. I have just a number of updates for you. Some of this will be a little bit of what some councilors heard on Monday as well. But just want to give a general kind of overview. So the legislative session did end on Sunday, sine die, on April 27th. It was a little bit of a last minute kind of rush to get there for the legislature. They were working overtime over the weekend to pass final budgets. There are a number of new revenues included in the budget, as well as a number of cuts across the state. The 3%, so the raise from a 1% property tax cap to a 3% or factor of inflation, that was defeated. And so in terms of funding for local government, that is not a tool that the legislature decided to provide. However, the legislature did include the governor's request for a grant program with $100 million funded to help support the hiring of local law enforcement and other public safety related professionals at the local level. That was part of House Bill 2015, which also creates a new councilmanic 0.1% public safety sales tax that can be used for a variety of public safety purposes. And so there are a number of requirements in order to be able to take that tax. The requirements for the grant program for hiring more law enforcement officers, those requirements are the same ones that the county will have to meet in order to take that 0.1% tax. So I'm sure that's something that CCSO and our staff will be working on to make sure that we're eligible for that if that's a direction that council wants to go in. Other updates, we did not get an extension on the comprehensive plan. We knew that was a bit of a long shot trying to get that in the final budget document, and we were ultimately unsuccessful in that. However, We were successful in our capital budget request. We did get $1.5 million to support architecture and engineering support for the jail. And big thanks to Representative McClintock, who sits on the capital budget committee and really was a champion for the county in that process. Another win is we maintained funding for the 179th Street project. As you know, the county is doing quite a bit of work on the 179th Street corridor. There is concurrent work scheduled over the next several years that WashDOT will be doing kind of on the interchange portion of that needs to happen to sort of make the whole project work holistically together. And so we were able to keep that funding even in a challenging budgetary environment. And so that is a win for the county. The county was not able to get support from the Department of Commerce. We had a request that was championed by Senator Cortez for a grant that would support the work that we're doing to improve our back-end permitting systems with several other jurisdictions around the state, both counties and cities in the eCity Gov Alliance. That work will continue to move forward. That group is still planning on improving, back-end permitting software. We just will not receive the matching state support that we're looking for, and that may be an item that depending on timing for that organization and how that work goes, that may be a priority that we can revisit again in the next session. The county also received a $300,000 proviso for continuation of the lake management work that's happening at Vancouver Lake. And so that is, there's been the last few years, there have been funds provided by the state to do work around improving the water quality and some of the work around the algal blooms that are happening at Vancouver Lake. Another item that the council was engaged in was funding for the Columbia River Gorge Commission. Happy to report that funding was restored in this budget, although it is less than the previous level was. So there was a cut to the Columbia River Gorge Commission funding that I saw, but it was not zeroed out. It looked like maybe it was cut by 20 or 25% or so. Another item that was funded in the budget that's relevant for Clark County was funding for the Brockman campus. So this is a facility, a psychiatric mental health treatment facility that is going to be up by Wazoo Vancouver. It's a 48-bed facility that serves patients with long-term mental illness treatment needs. These are often what you think of as like a 90 to 180-day kind of hold for a little bit longer-term services, not kind of the short-term acute beds, but where a little bit more work is needed. There will be more to come, and there will be some full reports both from our lobbying partners as well as myself as I continue to look through the budget and all the bills that are passed. The governor has a few weeks to sign these bills, and there is a possibility. He has been a little bit close to the vest with his cards, but whether there will be any partial vetoes of the budget or any other bills that may compel a special session. I haven't heard that that is likely, but we can't rule it out necessarily at this point either. So those are just a few updates, just at a high level to kind of get council, a reminder or up to speed, depending on availability on some of the last couple of meetings we've had, just to kind of orient you to how this legislative session went for the county. I would say overall, I would classify it as a success. It was a really challenging fiscal environment. There were a lot of bills happening. The county also had to deal with some bills that were not as good that also didn't pass. And so we were able to avoid some worst case scenarios across a few items as well. So one item I did want to ask council about related to this legislative update is I think it would be a nice idea to draft up a letter of thank you to our state delegation at this point. They really, on a bipartisan basis, went to bat for the county across a number of issues. And so if council is supportive, I would propose drafting a letter to that extent that I could bring back to you, and then we could send. I see Councilor Little's got 2 thumbs up already.
Okay, on the letter, I think we've got unanimous support on that. I'm not sure if Counselor Young is still with us. I know he had to slip away. I think he's gone. Good on that. Thank you for this update. Are there any comments on the part of council? Yes, Counselor Little.
Thanks for this great update. I just want to double check on how long the governor has to decide on any vetoes or signatures, because I'm just curious about that mental health sales tax funding that can go to capital and how soon we can act on that.
So I believe the governor already signed Senate Bill 5696. So that is going to become law. I think he signed it on the 27th, and it takes 90 days if it doesn't have an emergency enactment clause. And so I believe that will go officially live at the end of July. The governor has, I want to say, I can't remember the exact amount of time. It's about 3 weeks. I think it may be 20 days for the governor to make a final decision at the end of session on any bills, whether to sign or veto. And so we should know by mid-May what the final status is and if the governor plans to take any action.
Okay, great. Thanks for tracking all these things for us.
No problem.
Any other comments or questions from council? I have a couple things I want to follow up on. Related to the public safety additional deputies funding, I think that would, has that been signed yet? And then is that another one subject to that 20 days for the governor to sign and then 90 days to come into effect? I don't think there was an emergency clause on that one.
I don't believe there was an emergency clause on that one either. And the governor has not yet signed it, but it was delivered to him on the 25th. And I would imagine that since the funding came through, that the governor will sign it. And in his public remarks, he did thank the legislature for passing House Bill 2015. So he has seemed pretty positive about it.
Great. Well, I would suggest that would be a topic for a work session coming up so that we really understand what the criteria is for the grant and where we might want to land sooner than later. Okay, and related to the Columbia River Gorge Commission, is the funding at the reciprocal level for Oregon as well? So if Washington cut, would Oregon likewise do a reciprocal cut? Is that how it operates?
I know generally that's how it has operated, but I can follow up and see if there is any legal mechanism that is enforceable that causes that cut, or whether it's been something where Washington and Oregon have tended to work together to maintain the same level of funding, and if Oregon may reduce their level since Washington did as well.
Okay, I think that was a worry. And then finally, since we now know for certain that we can't get an extension on the comp plan update, and I don't believe there's been an update on the work plan. I don't think the council has seen an update on the work plan related to the ag study being included. I think it would be worthwhile to come back when there is a timeline for the comp plan update. So if we are, I think we need to be clear-eyed as a council if we are knowingly going to be going into non-compliance because we missed the deadline. I think we were holding out hope that there could be an extension, but I think that would be good to bring back to the council to take a look at that.
And I would just add the RFP for the ag study. I did send that to all the council and I didn't receive any feedback, but that is scheduled to go out next Wednesday. And you are correct, the timeline has not been finalized yet. Oliver and his group have been working on it and we should be able to have something to share soon.
Would be able to see something by next Wednesday. Things might not change as far as the majority of this council, but I think we need to really understand the decisions that we're making. And that would be an
Yes.
important piece to understand what the timeline would be
I
to include that.
I can say, yes, we can have something ready for council to see next Wednesday, but I think it's safe to say that we're not going to meet the timeline with the current work. But Oliver's here and he can confirm that,
Okay.
but
Yeah,
we can bring that forward.
yeah. If we could hear a little bit from Oliver, that'd be good. And then maybe know a little more definitively how late we might be looking at. Thank you, Oliver.
Thank you, Councillor Oliver Jacob. Councillors, we will be able to come back, say Wednesday, and share the draft timeline. And I think the county manager is correct. The way things stands now, I don't think we will, but we will share the draft with you and see where you want to go.
Great, thank you.
So I do believe the rules of procedure does say the chair can add something to agenda, but I don't, are you going to add this to next week's agenda as the chair? Or do you want to see if there's a majority of the council?
Well, I would like to add it as the chair. So we'd be looking at that next Wednesday.
Okay, thank you, councillors.
And if you have any other questions before Wednesday, if you could let us know so that we're prepared to help move that discussion along with council, that would be great.
Great. We do have a tendency to take a long time in our deliberations when it comes to anything related to the comp plan. So thank you.
Thank you, councillors.
See you next week. Anything else related to legislation? Thanks for all the information, Jordan.
The only other thing I would say is thank you, Michelle, for Googling quickly. It is 20 days that the governor has to make a decision on those bills.
Great. Thank you,
Um,
Michelle.
And I would like to circle back to the youth commission with it is the chair plus one. So who's the plus one? I did hear Councillor Young say that he was wanting to go or planning to attend, but is there another councillor that would like to? And we do have time to bring it back next week if needed, because it's not until I think the middle of May.
Well, if it's the chair plus one,
We just
And-
need the plus one.
well, it sounds like Councillor Young and Councillor Fuentes wanted to go. Should they draw straws or?
So it's only limited to the chair plus one?
Yes, they do not want this open to the public because of you.
Oh, I see. So if
Yes.
3 of us attend or
Yes.
more than 2, then it becomes
We'd
an
have to
open,
notice
public.
it,
Okay,
yes.
that's good. Councilor Young and I can discuss, and because I'm available that evening to go and I'd love to go, but we can figure that out.
If you could let us know, that'd be great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, I like that. Figure it out amongst yourself. Anything else on legislation? Okay, legislative review event 8.2.
Yes, council. So so the Greater Vancouver Chamber of Commerce, Identity Clark County, and the Columbia River Economic Development Council hold a couple of events, both before and then after the legislative session, previewing the legislative session and then reviewing it. And so on May 9th, there is a legislative review event happening. So wanted to check and see if councilors are interested in attending that event. I will say, having gone to the last several of these events, I know many of you have as well. They're really, really well done. There's usually a number of legislators in attendance to talk about their perspective on the session. They're well moderated and interesting events. This one is from 8:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. on Friday, May 9th.
I will be attending, but I will be paying my own way due to budget constraints.
I would like to attend as well. Anyone else? Okay,
Council?
other. Is there other?
And I don't have any other for you today. I thought there may be one or two things that might pop up, but they have not. So that's all I've got for you this Wednesday.
Thank you for being flexible. Okay, with that, no executive session. So without objection, I'll adjourn this meeting.